So what's your definition of love?
Unconditional.
Your definition of love is unconditional.
Like unconditional feeling and decision to embrace. Yes.
Your definition of love is unconditional feeling?
Feeling and decision to embrace.
To embrace.
Yes.
Okay, my love.
To nurture.
Can you break that down for me?
Okay. Firstly, I look at love as unconditional, because you can't really say you love someone and then it can have like conditions. Yeah, because if it has conditions, then it's not love.
Is it?
No, it's not. It's just reasons why you can't have reasons why you love a person.
Okay.
Yes, so it must be unconditional. It mustn't be like I love him because he's dark. I love him because I love her because she's beautiful. Then that means it's got an element of self-fulfillment.
Okay, maybe for example, would you give me the highest point that you would say you are truly loved by someone?
In terms of like what percentage?
No. I mean, the moment. Would you describe a moment that would make you feel completely loved?
The past 3 years.
That's an intelligent answer. Can I now have an answer?
I think, let me not say every moment. I just want to say every moment, but
what has made the 3 years to define complete love for you? In action.
Yes, in action.
Practically, yes.
Practically. I think love is higher and deeper than what a person does for you.
Okay.
Because, we usually have this conversation where we say, spirits interact and spirits can sense and spirits communicate. So I think more than me just saying out of my head, because that's why it's so difficult for me to explain.
Okay.
Because it's more of a spiritual act and a spiritual connection and inclination. If there is such a word.
Okay.
Yes.
Such a word.
Yes, inclination. So I can't really define as in like in action, because the more I'm with you is the more my spirit interprets what you feel for me.
Okay.
Yes, and it interprets how you respond to me. Of course, what's lovely and what's amazing about love is that it goes beyond the fights.
Yes, of course, yes.
It goes beyond the misunderstanding, because I remember maybe in the beginning of our relationship I'd be like, okay, when we are fighting, and then I'd ask you, do you still love me?
You question love based on that moment.
Yes, but based on that moment.
Okay.
Based on an argument that we've had. Like most people in new budding relationships. But now there's no doubt in my mind that you love me. We just had a misunderstanding, or we had a miscommunication.
Wow, I love the way you're answering. So, do you think love, the interpretation of love is subjective, right? Is love in itself subjective? Do you think if I was to duplicate all that I am to you to another person, they would still interpret it as 100% or complete love?
Yeah, I think so. And I really think that there's no such thing as I loved a person like I used to love a person.
Yeah.
With your ex-girlfriends or whatever, you still love them.
No, you still love. Baby, do you love your exes? Do you love your exes? Love? Do you love your exes?
No, but
But I think I would agree with you on that.
yes, you still love them because
we may feel different
exactly
about them,
mm-hmm.
but we still love them. No, I agree with you.
Thank you. So you still love them?
Most definitely. I feel like you know we have created a language in relationships that prevents us from insecurity. But I love, because when you interpret love as that which is very spiritual, I'm one person. Why would you choose hate over love? The mere fact that I've had a realization that my love for this person cannot go to maybe a level of commitment doesn't necessarily I don't love.
Yes, because you can't just, love is not something you just switch on and
so you
switch
wanna
off.
have lunch with my ex. I love that. And the other point that I have learned being, you know, just being in love with you and being in a relationship is what you are saying. Love is unconditional. But I think we always confuse unconditional with expectation. Simply because love is unconditional does not mean there are no expectations in love. And that's why now we're coming back to our exes. The reason they are our exes is not that we didn't love them unconditionally. It's because we love them unconditionally, but with certain expectation of how we interpreted the love they gave to us or we gave to them back. And it is true and purely so that the spiritual function of love is unconditional, but the mental function of it is expectation.
Expectations. I'm expecting this person. And that's why it's important to also understand that love is not self-seeking.
Okay.
Like the father say, it's not self-seeking. I think maybe with what you're saying with love and expectations is a whole different story. You know, you can have a crush on someone and love that person, and then the person doesn't exactly feel the same way. So then your expectations will be cut, but you will still love that person.
So would you agree with me that you are with me, not in love with me? You are with me, not necessarily because of unconditional love, but because I've met your expectations. Is it because I've given you unconditional love, or because I have met certain expectations?
I think because you've taught me, we've taught each other how to love each other.
And by that, you're simply saying we've taught each other how to meet each other's expectations.
No, it's not about expectations, babe.
Is it?
No, it's not. I think expectation is different. I think it just adds to the cherry on top. It's a cherry on top of the relationship, you know. But love is really undefined. You can't just attach an action, or you can't attach an expectation, or okay, he did this for me, so I love him. You get it? He's met my expectation, so I love him. Because, you know, even a 70-year-old sugar daddy can meet my expectations, right? But I won't.
Oh, I see. I see where you're going. Okay.
Yeah, but I just because he's met my expectation doesn't mean that I will love him inly. I would love him deeper.
So I think maybe we can put it like we are together because of unconditional love, and that I've met your expectation. It's both. Because it goes always, like we have said, I'm not with my ex, not because I didn't love them, but because they didn't meet expectations for us to take our relationship to commitment.
To the next level. So I think maybe with expectations, it's got to do with, can we go to the next level in our love journey?
It's the meeting of expectations that decides whether we'll go to the next level,
yes.
and not necessarily the love you have for the person.
Yes.
No, I agree with you, actually.
Did you just make me agree on what I said?
No, I think, but it makes sense. We are agreeing on the same, because I mean, when you think of it deeply and when practically, You know, there are people we love in this life. I mean, even in families, you find there's a family member that you love unconditionally, but because of certain repeated behaviors, you don't get to visit them, or you don't get to have to build that intimate relationship with them. You know, and unfortunately, people would feel like, no, but that's if you love me unconditionally, simply because I love you unconditionally doesn't mean I should accept everything that you.
Because you know, with time, it's either love goes deeper or it just remains constant.
I think because you're good with English, in the next conversation, I think you need to help me differentiate between a condition and an expectation.
Okay, well, let's do that.
That will be interesting.
That will be interesting.
How we are able to love unconditionally and yet get to not continue with the definition of a certain relationship because of unmet expectations. And it will be interesting to hear how you will define.
And because of time, I mean, time is also a factor. It is a factor. Because, you know, you can love a person, but it's what I'm saying, Uguti. You know, when a person passes on, right? Let's say maybe the person was 15 years old. That's the last time you remember the person. You don't remember the person being older or younger.
Yes.
You know. So what happens is that the picture in your mind
is limited.
So the person will always stay 15 in your mind.
I see. Okay. Yes.
So So for an example, like with your exes, the last time you loved them at a certain level, right?
Okay.
It had a certain type of pressure and depth in it. So you know that's even when you meet with them, that's just the defining.
You defining it using your past. It's like you're caught up into the last moment.
The last moment. So that last moment, that's like a limit, a bar, you know, of how you love that person. You can't go back. You say I love her less, or you can't say I love her more than I did.
Okay.
Because that was the last action. But you know, the more you spend time with your wife and you love your wife, and that's if you know you really love the wife. Because there are other people that are still caught up in that level of love. If it was really deep, and then you don't explore the depth
of that love.
Yes.
You don't not really even explore, because I think as a partner you don't just have to explore, you have to cultivate walking together in that journey of like cultivating that love. And if you don't want to do that, you know, your mind of course will just close off and you're like, no, I love my ex. And there's something interesting. There's something interesting, and I'm just while we are talking, and of course someone may ask, what have we done to get to this level where we are able to agree to say, yeah, you love your ex, and we're having a normal conversation like that?
I think that should next video.
Yeah, because that's quite interesting. There are people, there are partners and there are relationships where people, it's a taboo to even mention the name of an ex.
Should I mention their names? I'm just joking. Let me tell you. I'm not there. Angaze. Ngachola nawe, ngathandana nawe, ngashota nawe. Angina ex, angina A, angina B.
Is it an ex if I didn't pay the water?
Yeah?
Is it an ex if I didn't pay the water?
Of course.
No, how?
Of course. Always gonna be an ex. You explode love together.
Exactly. That's human nature.
Yes, but
while you were a kid, at primary school, didn't you have a crush?
Of course I had a crush.
Were you not exploring love?
No. I was exploring a crush. I was exploring a crush. I didn't love a person. I didn't even know what love was then.
You didn't know butterflies then?
Yeah?
Butterflies?
Yes, those are butterflies, not love.
Would you mean that would have been your interpretation of love at that age?
No, our teachers used to really actually condemn and speak against saying that you love a person because you don't know
what love really is. Yeah.
So instead of using the word I love you, we always use the word I actually like him.
I think that would have. I wish a lot of us would have been taught like that.
Yeah, you just say you like him.
Yeah, because even now, there are a lot of older people who don't know what love is. There are people who are married and they don't yet have the revelation. What is another word for revelation?
Yeah, the revelation.
Yeah, of what love.
The awakening.
Yes, the awakening.
The consciousness.
The enlightenment of what.
The
consciousness of what love is. Because I think when you discover what love is, the first thing that happens is you realize the expectation that it comes with.
And the responsibility.
The responsibility that it comes with. I mean, even myself, I'm still learning.
And the Bible says
Yes.
there's faith, hope, and love, but the greatest
is love. And Paul said something. Paul says that you may be able to comprehend the depth, the width, the height, and the breadth of love. I mean, look at how dimensional love can be. Meaning, love has height.
It can even be a being. What if it's a being?
Look at that.
What if you awakening a spiritual being?
It's a serious. No, I think it is, because if truly what love is manifests through us, have you ever seen a person who's truly in love that they glow? It gets to affect, meaning the expression of that love through the body shows by how a person's skin changes.
So is it it's a person, a place?
It's a place. There are times where I've always told you this. I mean, my driving is no longer the same when I'm alone. It's no longer the same when I'm with somebody else. Unless it's you who's sitting on that chair. It's not just about the stories we tell. It's just knowing that you are here.
There.
The manifestation of that love is, it's dying to self, like you said at the beginning. It's really about dying to self. But I mean, who can be able to understand the process of self-death?
And and then there's a moment where you actually not only embody love, but you become love.
Sure.
And when they say God is love.
Yes.
And God so loved the world, He evoked that love that He gave His only Son. So I could even kill
for love.
My own son, because I love these people.
Sure. Do you think we will ever get to the depth of love?
That's what marriage is about, I think.
It's about traveling that journey.
Yes, it's about traveling that journey and becoming love like God. Because there are moments
and be able to create.
You've seen people that have, had their spouses pass away and all of that. You can see that a person had truly become love for that person and to that person. And so when that person is no longer there, it's like he or she has just taken something with them to the grave. And, and my love can no longer communicate with your love.
I wonder where the concept of when two people are having sex, where the concept of let's make love comes from. But I think we must be able to.
I get you.
You get that?
I get you.
It's interesting.
Let's create a person.
You know? Yeah, first let's make love.
Let's create love.
Let's create an image of our love.
So we can.
Sure, but that's
That's deep. It's a story for another